This is Narratives in Black, and I'm your host, Amanda Shea. In part one, Letta Neely shared her journey as a poet, playwright, and activist whose work amplifies the Black queer experience. Now, in part two, we explore the urgency of truth-telling and the role of art in both resistance and in healing. Let's return to our conversation with Letta. When did you own that you are an activist? That's why I love being in this chair, because when I be knowing people personally, I'm like, yep, I know. Yeah.
I don't really know if I owned it or it owned me.
Are you owning it now?
Always.
Good.
Like, it's part of who I am. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean? Like, and it's a sad necessity, right? Because, again, the act of breathing is activism in this country.
Absolutely.
Right? And so when I wake up knowing that it's a political act to breathe, right? And I must do it on purpose, even when I really just, like, damn,
Yeah.
yeah. I wonder, another story, right? So I told you my parents are great people. My father and my mother are great people. My father was also an asshole, right? Given this world, I can't say if it happened because of the structures of this particular world or if he would have been without it, but he was an abuser, right? And the stress of the world would impact him and then he would impact us.
Right.
So I think I became an activist the minute I knew that was wrong. The minute that my baby brother and I would sit on the stairs and he would say, please don't let me be like daddy. And we would be holding the phone and we would know you couldn't call 911 because of the police. And you gotta like help your mother. And you might have to get in the middle and your baby brother saying, please don't let me be like daddy. That's when, because I did everything that I could possibly do being only 11 months or older, and I didn't succeed. But it's a lifelong goal to make a world in which the world doesn't impact us enough that we continue to hurt each other, because we're hurting.
I just need a moment.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons, one of the main reasons why I love you so much is that you're never afraid to show all of you, and you're never afraid to tell even your family's lineage. I think that's why I loved pulling it all in the current so much. Because the way that you weave intersectionality into your storytelling, because we are multi-layered, right? You can always see parts of your family and or yourself in that space. Everybody has a boo in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Everybody. Thank you for sharing that. I know some of your story, but thank you for just sharing that on this podcast. I think people need to hear that and understand that you represent a lot of us out here in this community, and the ways in which that you walk around being you. I said this about Michael Bobbitt earlier, but it should be studied.
Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's hard to be raw and authentic in front of strangers, but you never make it look like it's challenging or difficult.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have time for that. You know, I did some of that for some years, and you know, in the spirit of narratives in Black, let me tell more narrative, right? Like,
Yeah.
Because we don't have time to be less than authentic, whatever that means at any given moment for us, right? To tell less than the truth. The truth is that being a holder of a thing, as opposed to being both holder and part of a thing, or a being, or a movement, or of helping other people escape to freedom, right? While keeping oneself still hostage will end you up as a drug addict. You know, I'm in recovery, right? And why I am as raw, as you say, or as authentic now is because I spent a lot of time unlocking doors for other people while keeping myself locked, right? Like helping people get to room 5 when I needed to be in room 5. You know, room 5 is where we used to send people when they needed to get some recovery, you know, and we're ready. And I would be dead, and I'm not supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, we have to, at least, so here's something that I learned about this time with the toxic doo-doo man, right? Like, we must, at least for me, I must be a part of, as much as I am a mover of, right? Like, it is not enough to be an activist without activating both for myself as well. You know, like, it is not enough to think that helping other people save their lives is gonna help all of us be free, because I'm not a part of that all of us. You know, and if there's something that I would want to share with all the, you know, activists, artists, people doing that kind of work now, is don't leave yourself out of the equation. Right? If you leave yourself out of the equation, it is not fully solving anything. If that makes sense.
It makes so much sense. I think church culture has a lot to do with that too, for a lot of folks. For me, listening, it was always like, do for others and be good to thy neighbor, and you know, your purpose is for the greater good of the world. It doesn't say for you too. It says be the best version of yourself, so therefore other people can be the best version of themselves. It never says like be the best version of yourself to save yourself.
Right, but then Michael Jackson and them say we are the world.
Right. You're one of the few voices who articulate the intersections of Blackness and queerness with both tenderness and urgency. How do you protect and nourish your voice in that space?
Protect and nourish. I garden a lot. I am touching the dirt all the time and growing things and watching things grow. And I don't mess with small talk for no reason. You know, if it's not small and real,
Right.
I don't want it, you know.
Right.
I try to resonate with, like, if I meet you and I'm feeling you, then let's be real, right? Like,
come to the house maybe, or let's break bread outside and then maybe come to the house.
yes, you know.
I hate to interrupt you. I just realized when you said that, I don't see you out like that at a lot of different events. You don't spread yourself around the community, even though you are such a pillar in the community. Is that part of protecting not only your voice, but also protecting your energy?
It's probably protecting my energy now, and also, like, I'm in my 50s, you know. I'll be tired. You know what I mean? Like, real talk. You know what I mean? And some of the stuff is not for me anymore, right? And I don't mean like I couldn't.
Right.
But there are ways that people are figuring out how to unravel and tie together things that they need to, like, I believe in intergenerational spaces.
Right. Oh,
But I
well, clearly
also,
with apprentice learning,
right,
of course you do.
right. But I also believe that sometimes you need your own space to do your own thing, right? And there are some gatherings, but there are some shenanigans happening that are the work of that. You know, I would call them shenanigans, other people might call them work. And I remember having to do that same kind of work early on. You know what I mean? I just don't want no parts of it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and also, like I said, I'm older. I have a whole family. We got to make whole food, you know, whole meals, you know, and have to have some family time. It's a part of, you know what it is? I was talking about being an addict earlier too, right? I have learned that I must feed the well. And if I am out doing things every night of the week, and my wife would say I still am, you know, that I won't have enough in the tank for what I need to do.
That's very true, because the well can run dry.
It can, it can.
Let's talk more about like the journey and the process of those 3 projects.
Okay.
The Juba,
Yes.
Here, and the say it again for me.
Hamartia Blues.
Harmatia Blues.
Yes.
When you were talking about your activism and when did you kind of notice that, what did your work not separate from the personal, from the political in those 3 projects? Can you just elaborate a little bit more?
Not separate?
I'm sorry, when I say never, it never separates from the personal, from the political, right? For Juba and Here and Hamartia Blues, when did you realize that that was not only activism, but why did you interweave the personal and the political into those stories?
So I would say, again, I didn't know that wasn't an option, right? And dependent, I think, you know, some people would look at it and say it's personal, right? Some people would look at it and be like, it's political, depending on where they enter, right? And all of it's me. I think that I wrote them because I needed to write them for me. I shared them and I published them because early on, you know, when I was a kid or whatever, I got a message that I was going to be a writer, a teacher, a lawyer, and a something that I can't remember what the other thing was. Unfortunately, somehow I've been able to like enter all those spheres. Not a lawyer, but I, you know, definitely justice. You know what I mean? I shared them, and I think when I knew that it was those things, like personal and political, is when other people started coming to me and saying, thank you. Like, this resonated, or I needed that, right? I wrote them because I needed the medicine for myself, and I wanted to add to the medicine that I received from Tony Cade, right? From Toni Morrison, from Leslie Marmon Silko, from Joy Harjo, you know, like Langston, you know, all of those folks. And I felt like they gave me some fodder, and I had some things that I could add, right? The Hamartia Blues was probably the one that most people could see the absolute connection to. My brother was in jail at the time. You know, a different brother than the one I spoke about before. He was a street corner pharmacologist. At the time he was in jail, he later was murdered, you know. And
So sorry.
when I was writing that, you know, crack vials at that time were all over the street, and they were multicolored. And I collected them and made a cemetery, right? And I knew when I made it that it was making it was almost like an altar, right, to my brother, because I knew somewhere that that's where he was going to end up, you know. And I also knew that the story had to be told, that in his place where he was in jail, he was still human, right? And the story, the play, he doesn't go to jail for that. He goes to jail for some other stuff, like for protecting his sister from some homophobes that were also grew up in the neighborhood. And in addition to that, his job was as a street corner pharmacologist, right? But the story about the crack vials was, how in the world can you tell us that we are the cause and the root of this particular thing when we ain't made no multicolored crack vials that come like perfume-shaped vials?
Right.
Like, we didn't distribute them, we don't sell them in bulk, none of those things. And if that is true, then trace to me the origins of the black people being the baddest and the worst and the source of all things evil, right, in the United States. Like, no. So that was, I don't know if I'm trying to...
No, you definitely answered it. I love the term that you just used, street corner pharmacist.
Pharmacologist, yes.
Pharmacologist. I am never using the words drug dealer again with that. Like, street corner pharmacologist. That's what I'm gonna just call them. I love the ways in which that you bend and shape vocabulary in ways that's still to the point, but also like uplifting in a way. Like,
it's a viable job.
It's not it
know,
definitely
it requires
is.
a lot of skills.
It does. And you got all of them.
Yes.
Because there's just, and I've noticed that about you even in just regular conversation, like, you never disagree with people. You'd be like, yes, and. Like, you are so famous for that. You'd be like, yes, and. I've been, like, adopting that because I'd be like, but I don't like that, because I'm very, like, direct. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't want none of that. And you'd be like, yes, and we can also.
Oh, wow.
And I love that.
Okay.
It is such a way of, like, letting people not only understand that you understand what they said, you're not dismissing their thought and or idea. However, these are your thoughts that you want to contribute to the idea. It's very inclusive.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I love that. How, in your one-woman show, pulling it all into the current, you perform a chorus of voices, from veterans to teens to sisters. How do these personas expand your understanding of self, community, and identity?
I feel like we are made up with the DNA of everything that's ever existed before us. Everyone who's ever existed before us, both oppressors and oppressed, both people who were never oppressed and just got to be and be, right? And that, you know, the body is its own ecosystem, its own, like, universe. And so all of these stories are coursing through at any given time, right? And again, it's why I think it's important to recognize everyone as a part of myself and me as a part of everyone, so that I never disrespect or disgrace anybody wherever, at whatever space they're in, unless, you know, you come in to stab me, then we got a problem. You know what I mean? Like, but
Because we can fight.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to die today.
That part.
Right, for that.
Right.
For that.
For
you
that.
know what I mean? Like, so identity, that takes care of that. Community also takes care of that, because we all got to live here, right? And we all need to be able, in my opinion, provide. We have enough. That's the thing. Like, we have been living with this idea of lack.
Scarcity mindset.
Scarcity, right? And we are so abundant. If we stop trying to hide and stockpile shit, right? So there's community, right?
Right.
And so it's identity, community,
and self.
And self.
You?
Yeah, like, I could at any given moment have been fully embodied in any one of those people, right, that are in that play, in that piece, and have been parts of each of them, right? So how dare I not hold them up as amazing beings? We all have like, part of it was we tell the story from lack so often.
We do.
Right? And
oppression.
And oppression, right? And part of it has to do also with, talked about this somewhere else before, but like, we have written whole papers, gotten whole degrees and funding to talk about ancestral trauma. Arguably, you and I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation if it was not for ancestral thriving.
Absolutely.
Right? About ancestral trauma, you know what I mean,
Absolutely.
or anything else. So like, can I do my work? Part of my calling is to help myself and others see us all as fully viable, fledged earthlings, beings worthy of respect and joy and care, right? And if there is someone who is homeless on the street, living day to day, does that person not deserve a hello? Right? Does that person not deserve, if you have an extra $5, right, for you to give that to them without telling them how to spend it? You know,
Or to get a job.
or to get a job. Maybe their job is to remind you of what the weather's going to be that day. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but to answer, like, it's more important for you to answer your calling than to try to tell somebody else how to answer theirs.
That part. First of all, you killing this. Like, from Firewater Poetics to the Elma Lewis Center, your work is rooted in radical community making. Even with your work with DS4I, right? With the
4SI,
design studio, I've noticed how beautiful that is and how you build community space. What does community mean to you right now in this moment?
It means another everyday life is possible and that we get to decide what that is. And that's exactly what it means. Like we, for us, by us, that the us increases at every turn, but that we get to decide what that is.
What does a successful collaboration look like to you? And how do you navigate creative tension when working with others on vulnerable topics?
Successful collaboration looks like when we don't completely agree, we negotiate, but no one compromises. Like that everybody finds a way to get to the yes that resonates with them. And what I do with the tension, which should arise, right? It actually probably isn't worth much and might not even be as fun, right? If there's no tension at all,
Right.
is we dive into it. Let's figure out what it's about, right? Let's ask the questions. What hurts about this? What's scary about this? What did you need that you're not getting? Can I give it to you, right? Or can you give it to yourself? Can we grow it together? But to not run,
Yeah.
to just not run.
Yeah. And to stay rooted and grounded in where you're at, even when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think you navigate conversations of vulnerability effortlessly. Like I've watched you in spaces where tensions have been high, and the ways in which that I think your own introspection allows you to give permission to others to dig deep within themselves, to have that moment and then be held in that moment with everybody who's in the space.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. That is a gift. Not everyone possesses that. I think because of who you are and what you've came from, I believe it allows you to humanize everyone every single moment of the day. You're never in a space of dismissing folks, ever.
I hope not, because at the end of, or in the middle, or whatever, of everything, like we all make errors, right? We all have places where we fall short. And the next day is the next day, right? And all I can do is clean up my side of the street. And if you like how that works, then you might ask me how I did it. But I cannot clean up your side of the street for you. Right?
That part.
And again, like I shouldn't be as worried about your side of the street, right? Like case in point, like, I don't know if this is an adequate, one, but the world as far as, or the United States as far as racism sucks, right? Like it is a piss poor environment. It is toxic for all of us, right?
Absolutely.
If I'm going to clean up my side of the street it means that in addition to marching and writing letters, etc., then I need to make sure that my babies and that myself are ready, right, and able to do the things that we say we want and need, right? It's not just like, and their side of the street, like the government side of the street is the government side of the street, but they can't do their part if I haven't, well, they can do whatever they want to do with their part, right? But my part, I have to be willing to say it's wrong, right? I can't just accept the bullshit, right, and keep it moving and then complain in my house. Right. So
utilizing your voice and amplifying others at the same time, again, is also a gift. Your plays and your poetry have been nominated for the Lambda Literary Awards and the Ernies, but your legacy seems built more on resonance than recognition. How do you measure success? That's a really good question for you, because just as somebody who's been watching you for a while, your resume is incredible and you have a lot of different accolades and have received a lot of recognition for your work. At the same time, and excuse me if this is not a right word, but I've never heard you really brag about yourself or name these things. So it's interesting that I'm asking you a question now, like, you know, how do you measure success?
When a kid walks up and says, I read your book, or I really liked what you said and it helped me. When I can look at, when somebody looks at me the way my friend Shauna Murphy, the way I looked at her when she said, just always be yourself. When I know that something that I did helped somebody grasp onto another moment of life, right, of living, to opt into themselves. You know, when my family and my wife smiles at me.
Shout out Rebecca and the family.
Yes, you know, I'm so thankful for them, you know, for Rebecca. Like, I measure, honestly, okay, so these days, I measure success when I make it through the end of the day and whether I felt the desire to numb out or not, right? I go to bed clean. That I've done everything that I can do on that day, right? For myself, for others, etc. That I've done the right thing for the right reason, or the next right thing for the right reason. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm clean. That's it. You know, and for me, I stay clean by writing, by my art, by my work, etc., by doing the things that I need to do. There's lots of things that go into it, but at the end of the day, like, it's so easy in this paradigm to say, oh, I'd like, you know, a line of Coke or whatever to numb out because this shit is really hard. The world is really getting on my nerves. Like, I don't want to say the thing I want to say because it's dangerous to say the thing you want to say, right? I don't want to, like, I don't want to, you know, but you have to, right? And so when I make it to the end of the day and I just have water, maybe a little vitamin water or a Red Bull, like, you know, like, I'm good. If that makes, you know, like, the accolades are wonderful and nice, you know, and
it's cool to be recognized, you know?
Yeah, you know, and they are not the measure, because I was doing the work before there was an accolade, and I would be doing the work when if they never happen, right? The same with DEI, right? Like, if they never say the word again from the White House, I don't go.
Listen, the question obviously is for the audience. At the same time, I feel like success, when people ask me that, it's like, how do you define success? I'm successful every day that I wake up and I get to breathe and live this life.
There you go. And you know what else?
So basically, you said the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what else success is too, though? Like, when you get together with a group of young people that can see and activate into their purpose.
Listen.
Like, and you had just one little tiny piece to do with that,
Little
in
sliver.
whatever kind of way,
Little sliver.
right? Or younger people, right?
Right.
Like when I look at all of you younger creatives, right? These younger activists, not younger by much, right?
I was gonna say,
younger,
because we ain't that far apart.
We are not. but one generation,
Right.
And to see you doing your thing, right? And to know that you can look back further than me, but that I got to be like a piece of that, right? To just say, keep going, baby, keep going. You know what I mean? Like
That's legacy to
like,
me.
yeah, like
That's impact also
Right.
to me.
right. Success means not blocking somebody else's throughway.
Right.
Like
Right.
And I'll be like, I will never, I don't have time for competition. I don't have time for like, oh, somebody got this award and I did. Like, I don't care. Like,
Right.
did we open? Like, the stage is huge. Like, there's so much to be said. Like, that is success. Can you say what you need to say and make a space so somebody else can say what they need to say?
Listen,
That's success.
And that's, I think, what also success is and legacy is, and disruptor, impactor, because a lot of people like to use these words, influencer on social media, and I'm like, influence is cool, because like, okay, you're inspired by something, but inspiration and influence can wear off over time. I think impact is different because you'll never forget Shauna who said to you, be you. You'll never forget Mrs. Smith who told you wasn't gonna be shit, and then you became shit. You know what I'm saying? You became the shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, I feel like that's exactly what it is, and also providing, not only opening the door, but keeping it open so that more people can walk through it. And I think people, unfortunately, measure success by the accomplishments that they have, or the accolades and the recognition that they have, as opposed to understanding that you are inspiring a wave of younger folks that are now gonna step more into their purpose. We are who we needed when we were that age. And the more we multiply, the more undeniable these young kids' purpose is going to be at the end of the day. It's all about elevating, but not holding back, holding hands, but not coddling.
Yeah, exactly. All I want us to do is to recognize that we are already free, right? And that once you recognize that you're already free, you can begin to unshackle yourselves because you have the keys, right? And that nothing that anybody else does can keep you from being free. Like whether you are locked into a space or not, like that we essentially, right? Once you come through that birth canal, or out of the, like if it's a C-section or whatever, right?
Whatever,
like,
however
we
you
enter
arrive.
this spot free, and that's it. Like anything else that seeks to shackle us is like some kind of weird mirage, like whether it's tangible or not. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Speaking of, I could obviously speak to you all day. You're just a breath of fresh air, honestly. How do you hope your work will shape conversations about race, gender, and healing 10 years from now? What legacy are you intentionally building?
Harvest.
I'm a grower. I love that word.
That's the legacy I'm building. That we get to grow what we want to grow, right? Sans toxins. We get to nurture what we want to nurture, and that we get to harvest and live from what we've harvested. That's it.
That's so beautiful. I love analogies that talk about plants and farming and gardening. I just do, because agriculture is also something that we come from, for real. Farm to table is so super important, but also teaching how to sow the seeds, and then to plant them, and then to nourish them, and then to harvest them, to be able to feed everybody and not just yourself, is really important. First and foremost, I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for being on this chair. I have one last question for you before we conclude. If you had $1 million. No. If you had full funding and no restrictions, what would you build, stage, or create tomorrow?
Two things in two different directions.
Okay.
For us, I would build, with collaboration, an entire neighborhood.
Ooh.
Right?
Okay.
Asking those folks that were a part of this creation what we need, what would be the best of the best equipment or parts that we needed to do it with, and we would do it. Right? And it would be complete with, there would be, a garden, obviously, right? But a greenhouse, right? There would be housing for as many people that needed it, right? There would be a way for other people to come join, to build onto the neighborhood afterwards, you know what I mean? Like a way for money to circulate within that community, so that the dollar doesn't just leave like that and it stays within, like so that we could prosper. It would not be, I wouldn't own it. I would help sustain it, right? But that it would be ours, right? So like
it's giving co-op.
Co-op, yeah, but also just neighborhood, you know what I mean? Like co-op, yes. I get, yeah,
A co-op neighborhood.
Yeah, but
because you said you wouldn't own it.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I wouldn't own it.
Give stakeholders or
and nobody could own it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
everybody's
like,
a part of it.
Yes, and yeah, that's what I would. Does it have? Yeah, we always have water, like a water filtration.
Talk about
we'd
it.
have a big table, like you'd have streets or what, but there would be tables that would fold out into the street. Like every Sunday there's a community meal, like lengthwise, you could play spades, you could eat, you know what I mean? Like all kinds of stuff. There'd be books everywhere that we wrote and that we didn't write. There would be an ability to, like, you dreamt of, you have a place where in the neighborhood, like your curiosity is always catered to, right? Always, like even if you changed what you were curious about, but that no one could tell you no. Nothing could tell you no, you couldn't try the thing or understand or see the thing. So that's that. And then if I had an unlimited amount of money, I would want to make Shackles and Sugar, this play that I wrote, into a full-length movie. I want to see that. It is a play that traces the antebellum period from then to now, and plays with time and space and the motifs of slavery, so that arguably you might be in a Walmart, right, in shackles, you know what I mean, or going to get the equipment, or on the lawn of a place in 2025, doing the work of enslaved people, right, etc. But that story, Shackles and Sugar, is a story of a liberation journey. So also in the Walmart, you might be stealing the rifles, you know what I mean? Like for the insurrection. There's a lot of stories that I still want to tell, and I want the time to tell. And so I think an unlimited amount of money, I cannot say that I would never do my job, James Baldwin said he never had a dream, like he never dreamt of work, and so I don't think of my work at Apprentice Learning as work. It's part of my calling.
Right.
So I don't know if I had $1 million if I'd stop working, because part of my calling is to help us access our dreams.
Yes.
So. Yeah.
I love that you said that, because I don't foresee, if we were financially abundant, that we would stop the work. It's so much of who we are as people to completely stop. I worked at a retirement home for like a year and a half. And one thing that was so consistent that they all said was once they stopped working was when they got sick. And these people were like really, you could tell they were workaholics. Like they just did not know what to do after their work was done. So their body started shutting down because they weren't used to doing the rigmarole of what they do in their day to day. So I tell people, I'm like, you know, you think that you want to retire, right? But what does retirement even look like, or what does stopping doing work look like for you?
I have a colleague that retired, and she calls it rewiring.
Ooh, okay. I like that word.
I do think that we need to live our lives more in ceremony, more in ritual, right? That some of the work that we're doing is overwork. But so much of it is, you know, for those of us who are listening and answering our calling, there's no stopping that.
No.
You know, that would be a travesty.
Yeah. Letta,
Yes.
thank you for interviewing.
Thank you.
I'm always honored to be in your presence.
Thank you.
I was feeling a little low on energy, and now my cuppeth runneth over.
Thank you.
So thank you. You're always a breath of fresh air every time I see you. Thank you for all the community work that you are doing and will continue to do. You are going to get that neighborhood with the fold-out tables so that we can have a family meal every Sunday.
Oh, yes.
Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for showing us that it is a superpower. Thank you for your honesty and your authenticity.
Thank you.
We appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Can I tell you one more thing that's going to be in that neighborhood?
Yeah.
And I'm only saying, I'm sorry. The thing
No,
is,
don't apologize. Tell me.
I want this neighborhood to be a neighborhood of trees that have never known lynching.
Ooh.
That's it. That's it. There we go. That's my last thing I want to say.
You can't just end on that because that was so powerful. Whew. And what people don't realize is that trees retain all of the knowing. That's why they say when you're feeling nervous or anxious to go outside and hug a tree. I know people think it's corny because they'd be like, oh, she a tree hugger. Yeah, because trees can listen, they can breathe. I don't know if you've seen the TikTok challenge of Black folks going outside and talking to the trees, and the trees are reaching towards them. I'm telling you, everything in this world responds to how we treat it. So if that wasn't a message for y'all, I don't know what else y'all could get from that amazing, amazing end quote from Letta Neely. Thank you again for joining us here for Narratives in Black.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This concludes our interview with the Letta Neely. And if you want to learn more, please subscribe, like, and share all things Narratives in Black. And that concludes our interview for season 2. We'll see you next time.